So I left off where I was talking about his family and running errands for them. I'm not going to get into detail because I'm not trying to defame anybody's character, but I did a lot for them. The move was okay. Everything, went well. When we got the keys and it was time to go in, we were sitting in the car and he said, "You're not coming in here. You argue too much, you yell too much, you talk too loud, you nag, nag, nag. I don't want you to get my mom in trouble and get us kicked out." So we sat and argued and argued and argued. Long story short, I slept in the car for 3 days. So did he. And his, whatever, mom kept Quran. After he finally let me in, things seemed okay. We had the occasional fight, the occasional, him not coming home, the occasional, weird episode that he would have where he wouldn't sleep for days. But besides that, we were pretty much okay. Until a few days before Karan's birthday. We were in the car arguing. I was yelling, and he had told me to shut up. He said, "If you say one more word, I'm going to slap you." And of course, I didn't be quiet because I was a fighter. And he backhanded me, and I got another black eye. This one was really bad because I had actually hyperventilated in the car. I couldn't breathe. We were right over by Cooper, at the lights by Cooper, and we were at a stoplight, and I basically jumped out of the car. I fell and rolled on the ground and stood up. Mind you, I was 6 months pregnant. He eventually got me to get back in the car. People were driving by. Somebody probably called the police. Who knows? I got back in the car, and he took me to the North Memorial Hospital in Minneapolis, where he promised that he would never hit me again. That day I made it in my mind that I would either have to leave him or I was going to die. He was going to eventually kill me. The next day or so, it was our son's birthday. And I went wearing sunglasses in February. How embarrassing. A black eye, 6 months pregnant, at my son's birthday party, wearing sunglasses in the house. The next week, my sister's husband's sister died. After being in a coma from a brain aneurysm stemming from being hit in the eye. She was in an abusive relationship and had got hit in the eye, and her eye was permanently deformed. We believe that this hit from her abusive boyfriend caused the brain aneurysm, and eventually, like I said, she died. And I was close with her. I mean, I babysat her kids for probably 2 years. Every day from 9 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock at night. I did their hair. That's how I learned how to do hair. I cooked, I cleaned. That's where I learned how to do most of the stuff that, I didn't learn when I was growing up. Anyways, I went to her funeral, pregnant with a black eye, sunglasses, again, for a woman who I loved dearly and had died at the hands of a man. I cried for 2 days straight. I felt awful. I just knew that either John was going to kill me or I had to leave. I was so sick of this life. Everything after that went okay. I think he kind of got an eye-opening, experience that, somebody could die from being hit in the eye. And so it was probably as close to normal as we had ever been. He helped a lot. He cooked, he cleaned, he did the laundry. He got up every morning and ironed our son's clothes and got on the bus with him and took him to school. Picked him up from school, rode home with him on the bus. He did a lot. I was pregnant. I had a lot of complications in my pregnancy with Elijah. I don't know if it was because I took the Plan B pill or what, but I had a lot of problems with her. There were still little weird episodes and weird things that would go on. Like some days for weeks in a row, he would just wear all white and wash his clothes in the bathtub and walk around with the living room lamp, saying that, the light needed to be everywhere that we were. There were occasional sleepless nights and constant playing of Mahalia Jackson. Oh, Mahalia Jackson. I probably know every song of every CD she's ever had by heart. But, by this time I was pretty much used to it. It's crazy how you adapt to things and suddenly think that they're normal, even though they're super weird. The day I went into labor was fine, except for the fact that John thought I was going to die. He like literally was having an episode that day and, got down on his hands and knees and said he would never, get me pregnant again, and he didn't want me to die, and he was just having a crazy time. So he wouldn't even come upstairs until after I had her. He was downstairs. My mom had actually given him a joint, and I don't know if they went together. No, actually, he went by himself into her car and smoked the joint. And I know that's crazy, isn't it? I'm so sorry, Mom. He was really helpful in the hospital once he finally came up. He hardly left, only to get clothes for the day I left. The day I left was really tough. I had like an emotional, hormonal breakdown. I couldn't stop crying. I was depressed or had baby blues or whatever you want to call it. That caused a lot of argument, which led to him starting to leave again. Eventually, I started finding numbers in his phone, and he started randomly not coming home again. So the whole fighting process continued, and we argued more and more. Finally, we had made an agreement that the next person to raise their voice had to leave. Well, that person was me, but of course, I fought it and I stayed. I finally left when my daughter was 4 or 5 months old, which brings me back to the beginning of the story. Looking back on my life, I didn't know what made my heart want to stay so long, but now I know. It was demonic influence, and it's not a joke. It's nothing to play around with. Through it all, though, I know that God saved me all those times to eventually change me and to lead me into the ministry that He has set out for my life. I'm still struggling today with going back, not physically necessarily, but emotionally. It's hard to be alone and raise kids by yourself and financially, and I still struggle with that. Anybody that is a single mom with 3 kids trying to live, the life that I live is going to struggle. God continues to confirm to me that He does not want me back there, and that going back is more spiritually draining and risky than anything else. I don't know. I think that's it. I guess in the end, all I want to say is that Satan makes everything look good, just like he did to Eve in the garden. But there's always a consequence if you allow Satan to trick you. And for me, it's life or death, just as it was for Adam and Eve. You see, when you choose Satan, you choose eternal separation from God, and I don't want that. Nonetheless, it's hard. I'd like to say that Kenny and I are stronger than ever, but that's not the truth. I put the wedding on hold for now. This is, wow, a long time ago. And it seems like ever since, we are more apart than ever before. He's so different than John. He's so overly sensitive and so easily offended.